Quarin IV, the weary but legendary Saoshyant, has achieved the impossible, restoring the ancient Persian borders and converting them all to Zoroastrianism. Years of relentless effort, however, have left him a heavy drinker in poor health before even reaching 50. His final focus is to officiate the new capital of Baghdad and make it a grand palace, solidifying a power base for his heirs. Now it falls to them, not only to hold this restored empire, but to push further into Byzantium. Yet standing in their way are the Mordvanid nomads to the north and their allies, the Arabian Empire, to the west. Breaking that alliance will be crucial if Persia is to rise even higher and get revenge for Darius. Hello everybody and welcome back to our Bavandid Zoroastrian Persia run. We are Quarin IV, the Saoshyant of the Bavandid Empire, 48 years old but in poor health. We are in the middle of a drinking binge. We're a tragic drunk as well as being a drunkard. So that's not fantastic, but we at least have restored Persia to its original borders. We've picked up the Saoshyant trait, and our descendants, such as our heir here, now also have Saoshyant descendant. We are currently participating in a funeral for our cousin Hafez Bavandid over here, but once that is done, something else I also want to do is actually relocate the de jure capital of the empire to Baghdad as well. Obviously, we've moved our capital over here. We want to make sure this is the de jure capital as well. And speaking of Baghdad, I was able to find it. In this castle holding, we have the ruins of the Palace of Ctesiphon, and we can actually upgrade this to level 2, which will give us +2 tax a month. Building construction cost is reduced by 20%, and the holder of this holding gets +1 diplomacy per level of devotion, some prestige for powerful vassals on the council, as well as renown, a reduction title creation cost, +5 Persian opinion, and +5 Zoroastrian opinion. So I think we will go ahead and just immediately invest in this. 1800 gold will take 3 years. That is a very nice amount of bonuses coming from that. And the fact that we have been working so hard to try and make everybody Persian and Zoroastrian, that should help as well when we get that built. In Sarsar here as well, the temple holding inside of the Mars Panat of Baghdad here, we also have a university that we could construct as well, which could be rather interesting. I also quite like the way that the university can be built in our capital, because that should mean that when we send our children to be educated in university, we don't have to send them to a foreign court for that to happen. Not a foreign court, but, you know, for example, if the university is over here and I want to send my child to university, technically he would then be in the court of Shah Hadiat Pujmanzaid here of the Tamerlane Shahdom. The funeral is finished. We have gained some more legitimacy, even though we're actually already maxed out, but our stress is now fully at 0 and we've gained some piety as well. We've also picked up another learning lifestyle perk here. So I've picked up Zealous Proselytizer for the increased in Convert Faith in County progress speed. That'll be quite nice, although there's not an insane amount of land inside of our empire that is not the right religion at the moment. Mainly along the borders here we have it. A little worried about this land over here as well. It's basically constantly in rebellion from these nomads here, largely because not only are they a different culture, but they are also a Shari. They consider us evil, which is non-ideal. So internally, the plan today is to continue building up all of our holdings, obviously get that actual palace finished up as well. That'll be very nice for us. Then at a macro level, we want to drive our way through the Byzantine Empire next. Our goal is to pick up Thessalonica and Hellas for the Darius's revenge achievement. Now, the Byzantines themselves aren't incredibly strong. About 10,000 men at the moment. You have to assume this number will be larger than it generally is. The Byzantines are generally pretty wealthy, so you have mercenaries to deal with, and with their influence, they can call upon those actual provincial armies as well, so their army can balloon rather quickly. You want a nice strong advantage against them. The problem itself isn't so much the Byzantines, though, it is the Arabian Empire. We won a war against them to pick up Jazeera, but they are still incredibly strong with their 17,000 men. So we're going to try and drive our way up this way through the the Byzantine Empire, but we will have to continue to probe and create weakness inside the Arabian Empire. Ideally, have them shatter apart, pick up some of these duchies up here, and really just sort of fortify our borders, push them all the way back to Egypt, and possibly even beyond that as well, so that we can feel nice and secure while we work in for the Byzantine Empire. But it's going to be fairly treacherous because the whole time we will ultimately have an empire to our south that is going to remain quite strong, and to our north we have the ever-changing nomad landscape as well. Not to mention over in our east, where our vassals continue to expand, we have to deal with culture, uprising, and wars over here as well. I can now make the decision to make Baghdad the new de jure capital of the Bavandid Empire. Let's go ahead and do this for 1,000 prestige. What is also quite interesting is that we do have the power to adopt a centralized administration as well. All we're actually missing is have our level of fame be illustrious and have all powerful vassals have an opinion of 50 or more. But theoretically, we could work towards this as well. Now, I wouldn't mind that at all. It would make my life quite a bit easier. I find playing in admin realms very, very powerful. However, I am also aware that thus far we have been playing as a clan realm, and I've actually been discovering lots of interesting things in this run about how a clan realm actually works. Lots of nice things and lots of things that feel a little bit more difficult than playing in feudal or admin. But do let me know in the comments if it would be interesting to actually see me swap over to admin or not. I'm happy to stay as clan, but the option is there. Maybe it will be of interest to us. Our house unity is currently up at harmonious, which is exactly where we want it to be. I could have them encourage improving the economy, which I think I definitely will do for any Bavandid vassals, and we can also educate the youth in madrasas as well. Now, there's only one young man in our capital that would benefit from this decision of actually increasing learning and gaining the novice physician experience, but we would still gain established madrasas for 20 years, giving us plus 10% monthly lifestyle experience and plus 10 opinion with our vassals of the same faith. So let's absolutely do this as well. We will also kindle the royal fire, as is only right, for that health boost and a little bit of renown. We are gaining stress because we are, of course, paranoid, which has been the bane of our life this run, but we can afford it with our actual current stress level, so let's do it. I think we're going to start off today by picking up some of these duchies and counties to our north in between us and the Byzantines here. They're somewhat at war with each other, but as you'll see, quite a few of them are actually from the Abbasid dynasty, so we very much want to deal with these as well. Accused of decadence. I don't think I've seen this before. Havanes has been accused of decadence by his house head. Whether the claims are true or not, his reputation and credibility is significantly tarnished. That is an interesting one, and possibly one that could be used to our advantage if we had another Bavandid house member that was going for our throne or working against us. Should keep an eye on using that myself. This war should be perfectly fine. We can just outright conquer it. No holy wars or anything. So let's actually move my army over here. Let's start with just the men-at-arms. I think that should be enough to deal with this. Our men-at-arms should be more than enough to at least start this siege over here. They did have allies join them though, so I might actually want to raise a little bit more of my army just behind them here so that we have those numbers that are needed. I do not want to raise everybody though. We don't need to spend that much money on the army, and I'd rather not wait 6 years for them to raise. It also looks like we need to improve the number of siege weapons that we have, because despite 14,000 men and many men-at-arms on this siege, we still have the fort level 2 high notification. Thankfully though, the rest of our army can make light work of them. We've already sieged the capital. Just need to grab a few more counties here and we should be good. Oh, at the same time, we have a plague back home. Drylands fever is typhus. No deaths yet, but I did just get notification that my wife has contracted it, as well as being possessed at 16 years of age. Not fantastic to see. And there it is. The war is won. We'll pick up those 2 counties there. Thank you very much. Bit more of a stress than I would like it to be, some of these wars, to be honest. I'm really looking forward to getting more men-at-arms because I would much rather deal with these wars with men-at-arms alone. Our base army has lots of numbers, but our actual men-at-arms to army ratio is so low that it's still not exactly a walk in the park dealing with some of these wars, even when it should be relatively easy. Oh no, my son and heir has contracted typhus. Please recover from this. Who would even be next in line, actually? If my son were to die, it would then go to my other son, Sahab here, who is 10 years old and actually hale. Okay, we have a backup, but all the same, please recover. Oh, and there it is. We have typhus as well. Can the Saoshyant push through this? Got reduced disease symptoms at least, but either way, we are at death's doorstep, which is not fantastic. I did try to isolate myself, enter seclusion. It was not possible previously before I even had the disease, though. I think I may have been leading armies at the time. That's unfortunate, but let's see who pulls through. Okay, amazing. My son is actually over it already, but we are not. Well, thankfully, my son recovered the same day that I died of it at the very least. He's only 24 as well. This should be quite interesting. Quarin IV of the Byzantine Empire has finally found peace at 51 years of age. He died of typhus, the sacred restorer of the Persian Empire. His rise to glory will be immortalized in the sermons of all Mobeds. Surely he sits next to Ormazd now. Shahansha Quarin ascends to the throne. A crafty and perceptive man, he will have no problem gaining leverage where needed. What are we working with here? Paranoid as well, not great. Ambitious is good. Lustful is interesting. Elusive shadow, so very intrigue focused actually. Child of a concubine, obviously Saoshyant descendant, rockish, and a valued warlike courtier. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pin the ruler of the Byzantine Empire here and ideally wait for a moment where they're distracted. We can see they have actually been taking back some of the land that was taken from them here, which I'm actually quite happy to see. In a way, like I wouldn't mind if they were a little bit splintered so I could pick up that land easier later on, but the more cohesive the Byzantine Empire is, the more I can just take it kingdom by kingdom. You'll see though that before we really start doing any damage, we somewhat have to get the rest of Armenia here, so I may end up doing either a holy war or a conquer for just one of the actual duchies here, like Mesopotamia, and then once we have that, go for all of Pontus, Anatolia, Nicaea, then we're into the end game with Thessalonica and Hellas, as well as having to siege down the barony of Constantinople itself. The question is though, where do we want our lifestyle focus to be? Obviously we're quite an intrigue-based character. Having the ability to murder people would be interesting in terms of destabilization, but I'm not sure how much it would truly help us in the long run. Realistically, I want to keep the realm as cohesive as possible. I'm tempted to even go into stewardship because there's still so many holdings we can upgrade here. I think I might do that first. I always forget as well, but first things first, let's host a funeral in Baghdad for our father. How could we go without giving a funeral to the Saoshyant himself? Ooh, the ruler of the Mordvanids has just died as well, but they have actually stayed together. No crazy breakaways there. Let's pin the new ruler here. How are you looking? Also a Shari, very decent character, insane amount of herd and decent army as well. Hopefully the nomads stay busy trying to consolidate all of this over here and possibly even push deeper east. God, look at those borders. It's a mess. Hopefully that can keep them busy for the time being though. Oh, an incredible, look at this. I'm 25 years of age. I had 2 children already, but both of them daughters, and I've just had my first son be born. We've had many Quarins in the family here, so I think I might actually go for a good Mazdian name like Shaper here. Let me pin you as well, and we'll try and focus quite heavily on your education. The funeral is over, dust to dust. It was a beautiful funeral, lots of legitimacy, piety, and stress reduction for us. But that is that finished. That is our father laid to rest. It is time for us to define our own legacy. The Byzantine Empire is actually in revolt once again as well, but it is interesting that when we actually look at the Emperor's troops here, it's actually realistically closer to about 22,000 men and a ridiculous number of men-at-arms as well, with his ability to call in those provincial armies and whatnot. So he will likely win this. I wouldn't exactly call this a point of weakness, but good to know that we're not exactly looking at 18,000 men, but much closer to 22,000 should we decide to declare war. I will also start off my rule by sponsoring a research project. Let's go for a military one. We know we have lots of that coming up in front of us. We'll let Delbar here take the reins, who is our half-sister and court scholar. We'll train for a tournament as well, see if we can get strong. Nope, but we did pick up wounded, okay. We have picked up a warhorse here. It's giving us +1 prowess as well as some prestige per month. I'm absolutely loving this screen here while we're choosing a name. Let's go with Charger. Oh no, I married my sister off and now she can no longer support the dream of further scientific innovation. What a tragedy. That's fine, that's fine. We can get somebody else in to take care of this. We do need to wait another 5 years though. Okay, lesson learned, lesson learned. Let's move in against this duchy over here as well. Oh my word. The land is always in such a weird position here. Look at the types of duchies I have to take. Do I want to take part to the left and in the middle? Do I want just the left or do I want just the right? I could try and bring them under tribute. Become subjugated tributary of you. This would be interesting. I feel like there could be advantages to that, but I also don't really like the way the tributaries often can change hands or get invaded without much notice to us, particularly later on when I'm not paying as much attention to them. So I think instead we'll try and conquer them outright. We'll just do it piece by piece. Let's start off with Greater Armenia, I suppose. At least it's 2 counties instead of 1. This should be nice and easy. I'm just raising my full army here, taking no risks. What is this? This Sinjarian Persian hybridization. That is actually perfectly fine because you have a cultural acceptance of 100%. This is a hybridization I love to see. Even amongst many of my vassals that are not the right culture, for many of them, oh, here we go again with the nomads. I'll lose a level of fame, that's fine, go ahead, I don't really care anymore. I can't consistently go back and fight nomads for the same piece of land over and over and over. It's so frustrating to lose the level of fame every time, but what are you gonna do? What I was saying is that even for my vassals, in many cases, what I'm trying to do is actually improve cultural acceptance as opposed to just try and revoke lands and gain tyranny just to try and make sure we have a Persian in there. I don't mind if they're not Persian, so long as whatever culture they do have, it is at very high acceptance with us. And oh my word, we have been declared on by the Mordvanids and their 25,000 men. Okay, let's rally the troops. This is a tributary war? What exactly are you going for, my friend? We become his tributary. That's incredible. So, as an empire title, he's declared war on us to make our entire empire a tributary. I do not think so. The good news is that he's still relatively far away over here, so it should take him a little bit of time to get to us. But the bad news is that that little bit of time he will likely use to group up his army. And oh my word, he's called in the Arabian Empire. Oh, this is bad. I need to deal with this war as soon as possible because I need to disband my armies and give them a chance to actually recoup. Okay, there we go. The Holy War for the Duchy of Greater Armenia is at least finished. Let me enforce my demands here. Oh my word, we've inherited a war. Will you white peace? Yes, you will. Okay, incredible. Let's call in our allies as well as all of our dynasty members as well. Nothing too crazy here in terms of numbers, but every little helps. So this is somewhat the worst case scenario because we either hold off and try and fight the Mordvanids when they come south, or we raise our troops immediately and try and take the fight to the Arabian Empire. Either way, I fear that once I find an army of 1, the other's army will come up behind me. To be quite honest, we may just be fighting a defensive war here to try and just white peace out of this, because I'm not entirely sure if we have the means to go for a win. But let's see. There is an army of 10,000 here to our north, but I do want to give my army as much time as possible to try and get to full strength here. So for now, I'm going to let him siege this down and mess up his supply. I'm going to keep an eye on the border over here as well to see where the Arabian Empire end up. It's a little bit risky, but I think I am going to raise my army here to see if we can deal with the Mordvanid force here. I'm just afraid that if I leave it here, I'll think I'm doing great when their supply is dwindling, but then another 20,000 men will come in out of nowhere. Okay, my army is fully raised along with our holy orders. We're at 25,000 men, so this should be enough to deal with the actual Mordvanids. Let's attack over here, actually. Oh, there was actually a jihad for Abyssinia that was successful as well. That is not fantastic to see. It means the Arabian Empire is, one, expanding further south, and two, has now just dealt with a jihad and can turn their full army towards us. Over here, we actually managed to catch a very small force. The remainders are trying to embark. I want to see if I can catch any of them if possible. We did manage to catch 7,000 at least, which is nice to see. What's going on with our horse? Oh no, Charger is sick. We'll pay the 150 gold to hang on to it, of course. Oh my word, we captured him in the battle. We've actually managed to capture the actual ruler of the Mordvanids. That is phenomenal. So while initially I would have been happy with a white peace, we can actually enforce our demands here. So factions targeting the ruler of the Mordvanids will gain 25 discontent. That should help quite a bit. Let's enforce our demands here, deal with this war, disband all. In spite of the fact that that looked quite easy, I still very much consider that as though we have gotten off of the hook there. Because if the Arabian Empire was fully ready and was invading from here while we were getting invaded from the north, that would have been very difficult to deal with. But for once again, we live another day. We can actually create the Kingdom of Armenia as well, which I certainly will do. I think I will actually grant it to you as well, because you have that one duchy that we created. Let's have you hold on to all of this, and hopefully you can work on expanding it out as well. What is this? Forgotten Stones. My vassal Hediat has invited me to take a look at the triad of strange carved stones deep in the Hirasanian forest of his domain. They must have been erected by a lost expedition of the savage Rushii, he tells me. Now the local forest dwellers have taken to a liking to these stones and believe that their unknown makers will descend upon them from the Caspian Sea with swift and bloody vengeance should the stones be destroyed. But I do not believe such tales, though I cannot read the letters on these stones. They are for sure of pagan idols and must be smashed to pieces. Is it not so, my liege? So I can say, hand me the sledgehammer, and the county they are in will lose +10 popular opinion and gain -20 popular opinion and control growth for 30 years. And it'll gain forgotten rune stones for 200 years for another +10. So somewhat kind of cancels itself out. Bit of a debuff for 30 years, basically. I can listen to them, and this will make me lose stress because I'm paranoid, and they will just gain forgotten them. So that's another +10. Or I can have them removed and re-raised outside of my castle, giving that county the debuff, but our actual capital will gain the +10 popular opinion. I quite like this option. Now, the Shah of Tamerlane has watched in sullen silence as the stones were dragged away. Not sure if he agrees with that, but not sure if I want to placate to an infirm kinslayer flagellant irritable 72-year-old man. Now, Shapur here, our player Aaron's son, I've been neglecting a little bit. I should have done this when he's 3. He's now 6, but he's been put into learning. I'm going to rotate him into stewardship here. I think that would be of more benefit to us. And then while I'm at it, I would also like to send you to university. Interestingly, in our prison, we still have the brother of the actual Khan of the Mordvanids here, who's 47 years old and near death due to being maimed and wounded. We really done him over in that battle. What I'm actually going to do is convert this prisoner over to Zoroastrian and then send him back with a weak hook. Hopefully, he can make his way into power and we could end up with allies to the north in the form of the Mordvanids and completely flip the script on the Arabian Empire. Probably a long shot though. They might just kill him. Oh, and look at this. The actual Khan himself has died in control. And now we have a new man, still a Shari. Not fantastic to see. Let me pin you. But your troop count has reduced quite a bit at the very least. There it is. Household Soldiers Fascination has been discovered. We can now increase the size of our men-at-arms significantly. And we can create a whole new one. I think I might actually go for Armored Horsemen here. They are quite expensive, but They are a very nice unit indeed, and they do counter archers, which is the one thing that we are actually not currently countering. The Zupan spearmen are very nice because they counter not only heavy cavalry and light cavalry, but also heavy infantry. We have the Ayar here, which is our heavy infantry countering spearmen. Obviously, our Onagers. There is a argument to just get more of those for sieges, but I might just wait until we actually unlock in our innovations here the actual mangonels. As a matter of fact, let's go for that next, please. We have our Asiwira here, also very expensive, but they are archer cavalry, so they are countering heavy infantry and skirmishers, and then our camel riders, which are also countering light cavalry. So I think the armored horsemen to counter the archers and with a nice bit of attack should work here. Obviously, our max monthly maintenance is still higher than we would like it to be, so I do want to continue to invest in our actual holdings as well. I still think we're leaving lots of tax on the table at the moment. Now, the 5 years has passed, so we can once again sponsor a research project, this time not marrying off the woman we have in charge of it and making her leave court, take the reins. Whoa, this plague is spreading quite fast. Little leprosy. I was really about to say, there's a plague to the north, I'm not sure if I'll isolate myself yet, and then it just started to grow rapidly. Let's absolutely enter seclusion. Oh no, my son and heir has measles. Please do no more than what is necessary. Oh my word, we keep getting these absolutely horrible decisions when it comes to actually raising our children. He's currently picked up Craven. We can have him keep Craven, trade it for Shy, or trade it for Paranoid. Shy is not fantastic and will probably lead to some stressful decisions, but Craven is terrible and Paranoid is even worse. Let's trade it for Shy for the time being. That will overwhelm us by stress. What is this? The Plague of War? My liege, I plead for your intervention. 2 plagues ravage my land. Little leprosy attacks from within, while obnoxious Shah Bakatir of Poyad assaults me in Khorasani, de jure war for the satrapy of Nishapur. I fear I can preserve with only one enemy. My people cannot survive the devastation left by either of them. I have brought what gold I had as an offering. I place my hopes in the fate of my domain in your hands. So I can say I will gladly pay to end this foolishness, and it ends in a white piece. You have to pay about 660 gold in total, but he is giving us 160 back. Basically 500 gold. I can say, how dare you bring little leprosy to my doorstep. If the war is not resolved swiftly, there may be a price to pay, or he can be reasoned with. 46% chance we can just straight up convince him. I don't really like the in red text, if the war is not resolved swiftly, there may be a price to pay. So let's just pay. We have the gold, we can afford it. Let's get it sorted out. Oh, do we want to pick up Drunkard again? I don't really want to do that, but another critical stress break is not fantastic. Let's do it for now, because no doubt Drunkard is bad, but whatever would come next is worse. No, Shaper. Shaper died of measles. He is gone. And that's another critical stress break anyway. Oh my word. The problem is that my wife is 30 and also has measles, and I now really need another son. Thankfully though, I do still have 3 concubines. Okay, my wife has recovered at least. To be honest, I would have preferred if my son didn't die, but that is what it is at this stage. The important thing is that we are only 35, and while we're a drunkard, we are still safe from this plague that continues to spread. Oh no, our daughter has died of measles as well. I probably should have also isolated the capital a bit earlier, but at least I kept myself safe. Oh my word, incredible. We have a new son. Fantastic. It's actually with our wife as well, so it doesn't even have child of a concubine. What would you like to call it? Kui? Fortunately, I have something else in mind, because I'm afraid I'll mispronounce that, to be honest. Let's go for Vandad here, another good Mazdian name. We will pin you as well and keep an eye on your education. Meanwhile, I have gone crazy with all of my gold investing into our holdings here. We are building everything up, and also inside of the Baghdad holding, I'm constructing 2 more castles as well. So hopefully in future, so long as we hold Baghdad and the surrounding counties, no matter what happens with succession, we should have a decently strong power base. The plague is also finally retreating, so I will emerge from seclusion now. Good to be back. That gives us even more stress because we're paranoid. Paranoid is just so bad. Everything I do makes me stressed, which makes me pick up more negative traits, which makes me even more stressed. I am going to host a funeral in the capital for my son here, mainly to try and lose some of this stress, but also because it's the right thing to do. The only saving grace I will say is that I do think this is actually the first time where a leader has died, his son has come to power, and we haven't had to deal with an onslaught of factions. So that does make me confident that things internally are improving. Didn't really feel like it because we immediately had a war against both the Arabian Empire and the Mordvanids, but that's still just an external threat to deal with. And in the past, we would have had to deal with that while also balancing factions. So while it's slow and might not seem like it, I do think we're actually making very decent progress here. Incredible. The funeral is finished, and that has actually gotten our stress all the way back down to 0. And somewhat morbidly, the good news, in a way, is that so many of our family members were actually killed by measles that we should have many candidates for a funeral whenever we need to actually reduce our stress. Incredibly, we've also just advanced to the actual high medieval era, which is rather interesting. So once we finish mangonels here and get those going, some of these other ones we may want to skip for the time being to possibly try and pick up things like hoardings and castle baileys to really try and supercharge our economy here. I think that's our best chance at being able to defend ourselves against the Byzantines, the Arabians, and the nomads to the north. Speaking of the Byzantine Empire, they're actually doing quite well. 26,000 troops. They hold all of southern Italy, parts of northern Africa, so they somewhat have the Arabian Empire hemmed in across the sea. They've taken back their lost lands, and they're actually currently defending against the Arabian Empire and winning. So the balance of power here is constantly rotating. Incredibly, our new player heir is also pensive, so I have him focused on stewardship, and I've already sent him to university far too early because I forgot to check how much gold I have to building all the castles, so we're now deeply in debt, but everything's going to be fine. The Great Palace of Ctesiphon has also been completed. So that's helping a ton with tax as well as our construction cost here. These bonuses I think will be huge going forward. So that's why I've put so much focus into building out all of these holdings inside of Baghdad and making this our really strong power base. Now, we've also just unlocked mangonels here, so I'm actually going to destroy this onager unit and we'll get the mangonels in. Now then, at this point, I think I will actually leave this episode here. We didn't get to really expand deep in the direction that we wanted to expand into, but the realm is a lot more secure. Our economy is looking fantastic, and we've beaten back an alliance of the Mordvanids and the Arabian Empire. So next time, I think we'll want to consolidate the rest of this. It looks like our vassals are already working on that, and then try and actually start to chip away at the Byzantine Empire. It's going to require us to just be incredibly active. The Byzantine Empire changes hands and changes states of strength quite regularly. We want to make sure that we strike at the right time, and then if we can, try and start doing some damage to the Arabian Empire as well. To be honest, we've progressed decently down stewardship. We may, once our economy is built up, rotate back over into intrigue and try and maybe just murder a few leaders in both the Arabian Empire, the Mordvanids, and possibly even the Byzantine Empire, just to make sure that none of them ever get too strong. But overall, progress is happening. It's looking incredibly strong. We're already the Saoshyant, so we're constantly getting that buff. Hopefully, when our play is our player heir, he is not paranoid, shy, or craven. That's the main thing holding us back at the moment. Most of my time is spent trying to get my stress down, because everything I do sends it up. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like and subscribe, especially as we close in on 2,000 subscribers on this channel. A massive shout out to all of our channel members helping to support the channel and everything that I do here. And as always, a very special shout out to our Emperor's Hands tier in Faustbread, Wyatt Laird, and Kenny IDFK. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video.